Hello. Okay, we're live. I need to check just a moment to make sure that the sound is working because last week we had a little bit of fun going on. That's me. Okay, we're good. We're good to go. All right. So today, welcome to Live Turned On Live. I'm Erin Cayley. We talk about discovering yourself through relationships and sex and all the fun things. And I learned a little bit about myself this last week. I had a little bit of a rough time. Um, I've had literally the best time ever the last couple of weeks because I had my sister, my cousin's birthday in Dominican Republic. I was in Playa del Carmen for a week in between the DR and going to our best friend's wedding, which was the best thing ever. But I really messed up and I was not proud of myself. And that is what I want to share today because I've learned this time and time again how important it is to forgive yourself and how freeing it is. We focus a lot on forgiving other people, forgiving instances, you know, forgiving people for hurting us, forgiving things for happening, but it's not so common to forgive ourselves. And I had a big forgiving myself moment a couple days ago, and I just wanted to share that with you. So this past weekend was a freaking blast. It was a wedding. My body does not do really well with lots of alcohol, and I am known as a very bubbly, outgoing, friendly, just really vibrant person. But when I drink a lot of alcohol, I can get very aggressive and pushy. And my friends, are super lighthearted. They know who I am. But at the same time, like, I don't like being told that I'm like pushy or rude or snappy. Like it hurt my heart to hear this. And I know, again, my friends don't judge me. They're like, oh, you were just so pushy. But I don't like being that. I don't like being that. And I beat myself up a lot. And I thought about it all day. And I was like, you know what, Erin? We have had this moment before. I had two moments that day where I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, who are you? Who are you? I'm not proud of you. I'm just like, oh, so mad at you, like to my face, to my own self in the mirror, which is honestly very rare for me. I usually look at myself with pure love, but that day, after like hearing how I was, and I had a totally different perception of how I was being. I was the glitter fairy. I was doing this. And again, like, my friends weren't mad at me, but I was mad at myself. And I was really heavy all day. I was holding on to this. And so today I want to invite you to forgive yourself. And I did this little exercise and I wanted to share it with you. There is a lot of really great forgiveness meditations out there. You can always look them up. If you want some recommendations, send me a message and I'll send you some. But this also was a great practice. So today on Instagram, I told you to bring a pen and paper. I have a bright pink because why the heck not? And I want to invite you into like a little quick exercise. Like, these lives are only 15 minutes max long. This little exercise is only going to be a few minutes. So if you need to go run and get a piece of paper and pen, go and do that. Of course, you can just write it on your phone, but I want you to be present with all of us. And also writing, I love using pen and paper, and I'll tell you why. Because actually, no, I'm not going to tell you why right now. I'm going to tell you after the fact of why. But just believe me when I say get a pen and paper. I chose a pink piece of paper with an orange pen, so it's kind of hard for me to see, but we have to go live and I didn't want to be late for y'all. So okay, so I'm going to, in honor of me spending the last whatever amount of time by the ocean, I found a really cool YouTube video that I'm going to put on. It's like some calming ocean sounds because ocean always helps us recalibrate. There is something energetic about listening to the ocean waves that is super cathartic. So I'm going to do this exercise with you because we're keeping each other accountable, right? Again, forgiving ourselves. You have no idea like how much weight this can drop off of you. We focus so much on forgiving everybody else and forgiving, but there's also moments that we are not proud of. And if we don't release these moments, we hold on to them. Our subconscious doesn't like relearning lessons, which is why it's so hard for us to let go. Like, let go of people that hurt us, let go of like past relationships, let go of when we haven't been our best self. And you know what? I'm being vulnerable with you guys. Like, I didn't like how I acted. I was in a good vibe for a while, and then I was not a great vibe. And that sucks. And I don't want to be like that. But I also am not going to like beat myself up over it for multiple days because we're all human. We make mistakes. It's time to learn and let go. So here's the prompt. I'm going to pop it on the screen so y'all have it. The journal prompt, I want you to write this prompt and I want you to finish the sentence. And if nothing comes to mind, that's totally fine. Just doodle, do some scribbles, draw some stars, whatever, because it just keeps activating. It helps you keep moving. And I want you to write, I forgive myself for, and then complete the sentence. I forgive myself for, and then complete the sentence. And if nothing comes to mind, totally okay. I want you to give yourself a few seconds and I want you to just read it to yourself. And you can read it out loud if you want, or you can just read it inside your head and just eventually, I swear, maybe it takes 5 times of you doing this, but you will start finishing the sentence and then you start getting momentum going and you can start to flow. Today it's only going to be 3 minutes, so we're going to keep it really short. Obviously you can do it for longer. You can just set a timer next time, or you can just rewatch this live and I'll put the timestamp so you can just start at this part again. So I'm going to put on the calming ocean sounds. We have a cool soundtrack, and then we're going to do the second part of this. I hope everyone can hear. Alrighty. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm going to take this prompt off the screen. Okay, cool. So, how was that exercise for you? Drop it in the chat. Was it difficult? Were you drawing blanks? Were you just like flooding the gates with everything? This practice is really freeing because you don't realize what it is you're holding on to. Every time I do this exercise, there's always things that I didn't think were even top of mind that come up. And that's why this exercise is so powerful. So I'm going to read some of mine because if I'm vulnerable, we can all be vulnerable, right? I'm sitting on the floor because that's the vibe I'm going for today. So this is why you're having me at this angle. So the idea is that we have this piece of paper. You can kind of see my close colored ink. Oh, my color choice today. I'm going to read these aloud. The second part to this is, so we forgive ourselves, but the way that we truly let go is to acknowledge what we have learned from this, because it's just like the whole saying goes, there are no failures, there's only things that we learn. They're all learning lessons. So if we can acknowledge the lesson that we learned, then we can let it go. And then I'm going to tell you what we're going to do with this piece of paper and why I like using paper for this exercise. Okay. So I forgive myself for judging myself. I forgive myself for drinking too much. I forgive myself for not taking care of my body. I forgive myself for not staying in touch with friends. That was something that came up that I hadn't heard before. I forgive myself for being hard on myself. I forgive myself for being rude and snappy. I forgive myself for being on my phone too much. That was another one. And then that's it. I ran out of time. I had been drawing some blanks too, but this is great. Okay, so let's go through. And again, this is an exercise. So I forgive myself for judging myself. I acknowledge I've learned that judging myself doesn't make me a better person. I've learned that judging myself doesn't make things better. It just puts me in a worse mood and makes me feel shittier. And then I identify with feeling like crap. And then am I sharing positive light with other people by judging myself? No. So that's what I've learned from that. I forgive myself for drinking too much. I've learned that shots are not my friend. But I am not a person that takes shots. I am very curious about what it would be like to be sober curious, to be like maybe going sober. But I also acknowledge that, a lot of my friends love drinking socially, and I can do it in a responsible way. And I have. There's just some of these moments where I'm like, no, I get carried away and I want to drink how everyone else drinks, but then I'm not my best self. So I've learned that shots are not my friend. I am not a woman who ever takes shots. And I drink a water between every drink because we don't need to go ham on this, right? We can still have fun and just be completely sober, one. And we can still have fun and be like a little tipsy. That's cute, okay? I forgive myself for not taking care of my body. We all know that alcohol, drinking a lot of alcohol, or just drinking any drink, doesn't make us feel our best. And I really value my body. I exercise every single day. But this trip, this is the whole thing about forgiving yourself. Because I was so hard on myself in drinking, then I was hard on myself for being like, oh, then I didn't feel like working out. Then I didn't feel like even going for I did a big workout on the dance party at the wedding because I was dancing all night. My legs were so sore. You can get creative with dancing, but I creative with working out, but I didn't. So I forgive myself for not taking care of myself. And I realize okay, when I make a mistake, when I don't do things, this is also why I choose not to drink to that level, because then I can wake up in the morning feeling great and then go for a walk, do a 15-minute HIIT workout. Or if I had a gym, I could do that, or just dance. That's a great workout. I forgive myself for not staying in touch with friends. So I've learned that I'm a very social being. I love my family and friends. I also think that I have a little ADHD. Um, and when it's like out of sight, out of mind for me, like I love my friends and family, and I give them so much of my attention and love when I'm right in front of them. But when I'm not, well, it's like out of sight, out of mind. And I would love to stay in touch with them more. So I acknowledge that my lesson in this is that I put on my phone. I actually did this yesterday. So I put on my phone 3 days a week to call someone you love, to just catch up with them. I'm really excited to have a bachelorette coming up with a lot of my girlfriends, and I haven't really connected with them deeply since my bachelorette last year. So I'm really excited about that. But I would love to stay in touch with my friends and family more because I've definitely gotten out of the habit of that. I forgive myself for being rude and snappy. I acknowledge that this is not my true self. I acknowledge that alcohol does mess with the prefrontal cortex, I believe, and it does produce anger and aggression in most people. So I acknowledge that. Okay, that's a real thing. That's not who I am. It's just alcohol. So I'm releasing that. And then let's see, I forgive myself for being on my phone too much. That was a new one that came up too. Um, I've learned that I will be watching the time on my phone. I don't need to be scrolling a ton on Instagram. Like it's great to like follow people who inspire you and bring you value and light you up and add something to your life. But there are some times when I'm scrolling or on Instagram and it's not really adding any value to my life. And so I choose to be more aware of that and more intentionally off my phone and more present with the people that I'm around. How about that? So, the reason why I wanted you to do this, my favorite somatic practice, somatic is body based, it's something that we physically get to do. I love journaling on my iPad. But for these kinds of exercises, I love using paper because I want you to do something destructive to it. My favorite thing is to light it on fire. Obviously, be safe with this. So you can crumple it up, light it on fire in a sink. A sink is really good because then it's close to water. Or, in a fire pit or somewhere else safe. Be smart about this. We're not trying to like have something else to forgive ourselves for. So, otherwise, you can flip it in a okay, we did that. You can rip it, you can crumple it, you can do something to it because we are releasing it. We're letting it go. And there's something about physically doing this that's just like, you know what? Just not my problem anymore. It's just gone. And I've learned the lesson. I've forgiven myself. I'm releasing it. And I'm taking on the lessons because that's the most productive thing that you can do. So, I hope to see you all next week on our live. I wanted to share that experience with you. I thought it was such a great exercise to do. It helped me a lot when I was having trouble looking at myself in the mirror and loving myself, loving the reflection that I saw because I wasn't proud of who I was when I was drinking a lot of alcohol. And I forgive myself for that. And I love myself. And I just feel lighter. And I hope you feel lighter after this exercise. This is definitely something that you can pin and come back to and do again. I'm going to be doing this for every day for the next week and maybe longer. But I'm going to do a little experiment and do that. And maybe I'll share more about that next week. But otherwise, I'll see you next week for Live Turned On. Live Turned On Live. We go live every Tuesday, 11 a.m. New York time zone or 5 p.m. Madrid currently. And I hope to see you next week. Please let me know what you thought about this exercise. I hope you liked the calming ocean sounds, if anything, and let me know. Of course, you can send me private messages on Instagram in my DMs or on TikTok, but otherwise, pop it in the comments and let's have a conversation about it because forgiving ourselves is such a great release. And now I can stretch and do some dancing and just feel good. And that's what it's all about.